You're watching the Isaiah Factor Uncensored.
And welcome back to the second half of the Factor Uncensored. Alleged snitching has put a rift in A$AP Rocky's camp. Now, the rapper has recently pled not guilty to firearm charges. Those charges are related to the shooting of a former friend in the A$AP Collective, a whole group of people called A$AP. That friend, A$AP Relly, has been labeled a snitch. And ever since, he's received multiple death threats, and he's now unable to sleep because he's been labeled a snitch and received those death threats. Relly's attorneys insist he never did such a thing. Tonight, we continue the conversation about the ultimate violation in many hoods around America. It's called snitching.
Dominique, let's begin with you. Have we created a culture where people are looked down upon as a result of helping law enforcement, even if it's like a murder next door and you see something, you say something?
Well, I think the culture right now has been twisted. And I think right now also, not only has it been twisted, but it's the difference between snitching and also letting it be known what happened. Now, snitches, they say, get stitches, of course. But when it comes down to trying to help somebody out, whether it's a murder next door or an accident down the street, you've seen that, you have your due diligence to tell somebody, hey, look, this is what happened. But when you know something that nobody else know and you go snitch on them, that's different. I had that experience in my own personal life of one reason why I went to prison.
Now, it's almost in the eye of the beholder between helping someone solve a crime and snitching. So it almost feels like the same thing. How do you differentiate the two, Dominique?
Well, so if I'm in my car and I see a hit and run accident, but I see the car in front of me who made that hit and run and they went somewhere else, but I had the opportunity to get the license plates, I'm gonna write that down. Now, if I'm in the act of committing a crime and the person that I'm with gets away and I get caught, then if I snitch on that person who got away, then that's snitching because I actually got caught. They didn't. And they might say, well, hey, you with somebody else who was with you. Let me know who that person was.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's snitching.
So almost telling or snitching benefits you, essentially.
Yes.
You say that?
Yeah. Okay. I would say, yeah.
And David, so have the lines been blurred though? When people are murdered in the community, you have individuals who say, and they know who did it. They're like, I'm not snitching, I'm not telling. And it doesn't benefit them, it solves crimes in their neighborhood. Have we blurred the lines when it comes to assisting law enforcement and snitching?
Absolutely. One thing about it is, when you talk about dealing with police, people, depending on where you're from, you don't want to even talk to the police. You don't want to be seen talking with the police. You don't want to give any information to the police, especially if you committed a crime. I've seen situations where, and we see it on TV as well, where they depict an individual and saying, oh, you're a snitch. Oh, you're talking. Oh, yeah, this guy is talking. And so then they know that is a derogatory term as it relates to individuals in our neighborhoods. So absolutely, man, the lines have been crossed. And also when you take a look at what's going on with social media and in the rap world, so many individuals they're living a life that they're not, they're portraying a story that they're not really living. Mm-hmm. And they're trying to take on codes that they really are not a part of.
Right. Mm. And so how do we address this as a community, as people, when you're talking about doing the right thing or ignoring and allowing a family to suffer because this person has got away with murder or crime, and stepping up and saying, look, I know what happened. How do you get rid of that stigma in the community of snitching?
Well, I think it's time, and it's also what you're telling your children. All right, because in order to break certain curses We're talking generational things, Isaiah. And you got to teach the kids. They have to know what's okay and what's not okay. So the era that I came from was, my father was a Vietnam vet. By the time those Vietnam vets come home, they're on drugs. So the next thing you know, I'm a child that was in the crack era. Well, during that crack era, you've got the gang era as well, where hey, you don't tell, you mind your business. Well, that's one thing. But when, like you said, when you know that there's been a crime committed in your neighborhood and whatnot, now crimes committed in not only in your neighborhood, but down the street, and you know exactly who did what. Now we're talking about, do you value your life, and do you value the way that you're living? Do you want it to be safe in your neighborhood? Well, you know, you need to get certain things out or certain people out of that. And so you can't stand by and allow things that happen in your neighborhood that you know is going to be bringing down not only your property value, but it's going to be bringing down your overall morale in your neighborhood, when you're scared to go outside, when you don't want your kids to walk out in the middle of the street, when it's not okay for somebody to just stand down the street without being scared of getting robbed, and you know who's doing the robbing, and you know those type of things. Or even your child, and you know that your child is the one that's walking out the house with a gun, and he's gang banging, and you know he's scaring people. You don't want that to happen. So I think it really starts with stepping up as men, talking with one another, but definitely making sure we have those conversations in home, so we can improve not only socially, but also through the generations.
All right, gentlemen, we want to thank you for joining us here on The Factor Uncensored. We appreciate your time tonight.